Hey guys, Brent Abernathy. Got a special guest with us today, Alex Dykes. Alex has been with us. You've been with us about a year or so now, Alex? Maybe
Yep.
right at about a year.
End of this.
Okay, all right, perfect. And Alex has worked his way up to being a $30,000-$40,000 a month issue pay producer. So he's had some success in the field. He's had a rough past week in the field. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, kind of digging into maybe why he's having some struggles over this last week inside the home. And then I know he has some questions. He's got a group that's growing and has some questions about getting some new agents started. So tell me about what's going on inside the home this past week, dude. What roughly how many people did you sit with? And I know you said you were having some issues closing them. So tell me, just give me a brief kind of overview of this past week.
Yeah. So I had 19 appointments going into Tuesday, Wednesday. I had a good dial day Monday. Sat with about 16.
Okay.
Thought I was going to had my hopes up for that.
Right.
And got in the home, and I just talking. I've been reaching out to other people, even new agents that are early on and crushing it, to see what they're doing, kind of to bring me back to kind of modest myself a little bit. I remember even talking to you after I did that really good week. I don't want to turn it like confidence into an arrogance.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what I've been noticing is happening. I don't want to think that I am doing that, but it's definitely a kind of a know-it-all mindset right now.
All right. So
that makes sense. So
yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Give me an example of kind of what makes you think that's what's going on. Like if you kind of go back into some of the homes and you revisit those appointments, what kind of leads you to think that?
So I was calling Tyler after a few, Tyler Sagal, after a few appointments, and he, just from being open with him and, full transparency, he said, dude, it sounds like you're being a little combative when, you have an objection coming your way, because you do know what this purpose is going to be, but I'm missing the point of what we're doing in the home, of either protecting the home, protecting relatives, something like that from the final expense. And, people have trust, people have other funds, and I'm getting to trying to justify that that's not enough, or that's not going to be there how they would like it. And it's just, I ruin it pretty much. I'm just being argumentative towards that.
Well, okay. So here's a few things. First of all, it doesn't matter what anybody has or doesn't have, whether it's a trust, money in saving, it doesn't matter. Because no matter what happens, we know deep down that they filled out a form because they need and want insurance, right? No matter, and they had all that stuff in place when they filled the form out, right? So we have that to lean on all the time. Here's a couple things. I've seen over the years that when people do start having success, which, let's be honest, the last couple of months, I think you've set a record for yourself the last 2 months at least, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times what happens is we get, and you call it arrogance, whatever it might be, but we get to a point where we start skipping steps inside the home because we think, hey, we got this down. We kind of almost lose focus, right? And we're like, hey, we got this down. All I got to do is show up and boom, they're just going to start giving me checks, right? And and we skip steps. There's a very big purpose and intentionality to everything we do inside the home and everything we teach on, right? As far as the order, as far as the assumptiveness, as far as how you word things, all the stuff that we teach and train on over time, it's important. And I remember plenty of times when I would be like, I'd be struggling inside the home and I'd look back and I'd be like, damn, I skipped the why. I didn't really dig down into their why. They just gave me the thing of, I just want to make sure my family's protected, and I would take that and run with it and be like, okay, well, here's what we can do. Just thinking, hey, I got the momentum, right? I got the momentum and everything's going to work out perfectly for me. Right. So I would skip steps like that, or I would skip steps like finding out about their family, getting to know them and their situation, and what's important to them. I would skip steps sometimes, forgetting to give them a little bit of information about me, right? Because it's important that we not only we get information from them, but also that we give them a little bit about ourselves, so they know that we're human and we're on their side and we're relatable to them, right? I would skip steps sometimes, in showing pricing or something like that, or I maybe, instead of leaving them an out and showing them a lower price, right? Because I always did it. Do you do it when you show pricing? Do you show 3 prices, or do you show 1 and top down? How do you do that?
So final expense, I do not show pricing until I get them through the initial. I do not.
Right.
With mortgage protection, or like a term, I do want to kind of get a basis of where they're at. So I do show 3 options. I usually show them a little bit more than the mortgage, as long as it is in their budget. And I'm trying to do that. I usually try to show them a little bit more because that is, I'm trying to hold value of it, show them the mortgage, and then I show them about 75%. And I do show them how the 75% is still going to be a value, even though it's not protecting the full mortgage.
All right, got it. So just looking back, I would skip steps on, like, I would, that arrogance that you talked about, right? Maybe normally if I was, say it's a final expense appointment where normally I would show, just because of their situation, their budget or whatever, normally I would show 5, 10, and 15 thousand. Maybe I was just at a point where I was feeling so good about myself, I wouldn't pay attention to that, and I would show 10, 20, and 30, or something. It's just the skipping steps. So the other thing that happens a lot of times is, and I know that you had been sick this past week, and so you hadn't been in your normal routine of activity and consistent activity. A lot of times what happens when that takes place is we have an extra pressure inside of us because we need to go make sales now, right? Because of whether it's maybe while you were out, you had a chargeback or two, you had a little bit of debt build up with companies, or just the fact that you hadn't been working for, a little while. You go into homes, and even though we like to say that it doesn't impact things, it really does, because deep down you're like, oh crap, I need to make sales. I have to have success today. And a lot of times it doesn't work that way. And the reason is because now the appointment's about you, right? The appointment's about you if that's going on in your head, instead of about the people that you're there to help, right? And in our business, everything takes care of itself as long as we always remember that we're there for them. And so knowing those two things, look back on your appointments this last week. And if you can pick 1 or 2 out, can you find spots where you missed, you just skipped over some of the steps and flew through things, or maybe you missed stuff that they were saying about what was important to them because you were more focused on yourself. Can you remember an appointment or 2 like that?
Yeah, just from you talking, I've already made a few notes. The missing intentionality, and then also bringing out the why. Those are the big things that I am now cognitively remembering. I didn't touch really much on, who that person that they're trying to protect. I didn't even dive. I got a name, and then that was pretty much that. So you want to make sure that there's no burden left on them with the mortgage or with burial. Got it. And then I just would go right back in instead of saying, okay, how are they doing? And, do they have a good job? Do they have kids? Is this going to really affect them? Maybe,
Paint
I'm noticing.
paint me the picture. right? Paint me the
Right.
picture, right?
Yep.
That type of stuff.
Exactly.
You remember?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, and I don't know the answer to this, but I would guess that this past week you got to the end of everything and you probably got a good amount of, let me think about it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Let me talk over with my child who I'm trying to protect. Let me make sure that this is what they need. Again, just like, they're the ones who filled out the form. So they're trying to take control of their kids, of knowing what they already know, what they need and what they don't need. So I know that that's not really an objection. It's just trying to get me out of the home.
Right. And that's what happens when we don't really dig down into the why. Number one, we don't get the truth. We don't give us ammunition. They're not going to tell you, let me think about it. If you got a true picture painted and little Johnny, it has zero chance of being able to afford the mortgage payment, keep the house and the family, he's going to have to, fire sell it right away. Like if you get that full picture painted, they can't come back to you at the end and say, let me think about it. And if they do, you have the ammunition of, well, hang on just a second. John, earlier you said that this was going to happen if you don't have it, right? But see, you haven't, this week you weren't getting that full ammunition, and you weren't getting them to sell themselves by making them verbalize everything, and paint that full picture. Do you remember, were there times this week where, because I'm just going back to when I was in the home and going through some of this stuff. Do you remember sitting there with families sometimes this week, and they might be talking and your head might be like in other places, or thinking about other things, or thinking about, man, I need money, or what? Like, were there times of that?
On Tuesday, not as much, but yes, then after that full day goes by, and I feel like we have some agents that are going on board now. And I feel like I'm letting them down by not leading from the front, if that makes sense, for them to come to me and say, wow, he's still doing well. I want to go ask him. So I feel like that's, when it gets to the appointment, I'm starting to get those objections. That's the first thing that's kind of starting to go through my head now. It's like, gosh, I've really got to close this, not even for my bank account or anything. I just need to show others that this is, I guess, if that makes sense. I want to prove to others, new agents, that, you can go in and come out with. I mean, do you see Gabe's sale? Like go in and keep showing them that, like, it's an appointment count. It just hurts me a little bit is when I see, 19 appointments, put in the work and effort, and then I go out and, I close 3 of them. And I want to, that's a bad week. I know that, but it's hard to show people that that's a bad week, and people who are starting and they're like, great. So now, he had 19 appointments. I might be overthinking it too, which I probably am.
Which you have a tendency to do, and I did as well, right? But let me ask you that. You said you closed 3 out of the 16 that you sat. What was the AP for those 3 appointments?
The one was 400, a little over 400. The other one was right around 900, and the other one was 2,200.
So 1,300 plus 2,200 is 3,500, right?
Yeah.
So 35, and you're going to see from those 3 sales, you're going to see, but probably around $3,000 go into your accounts, right?
Yeah.
For 2 days worth of work, right?
Yeah.
So perspective on it is, even though absolutely you expect better results from 19 appointments, right? Like, new agents have to understand that from the perspective point of view, it's like, was it really that bad? We closed 3. We're going to see about $3,000 go into the account for 2 days worth of work. Doesn't mean we're not trying to get better, but it's like, that's a big thing for new agents is like, the world's not ending. Calm down. It's going to be okay. It really wasn't that bad. So, dude, I think that's it. You're trying to learn how to manage, a group and different people, and you got a lot of extra things going on. You're putting extra stress and extra pressure on yourself. that that you don't need to. What you need to focus on, what any agent should be focusing on is, dude, be yourself. You're a great guy that genuinely cares about helping people. Be yourself, smile, right? Go through the steps inside the home and be there for them. And everything, just by doing that, out of 16 sits, you're going to close, 6 or 7 of them at least, just by doing that. But don't, all these extra things, right? It's messing with your head where you've got all this stuff going on instead of really locking down and focusing on the family and their situation when you're in there, right? I used to have to do a thing when I was, driving around, because I'd be on the phone constantly while I was running appointments and in between appointments, with new agents, helping people out, things like that. And I used to have to do a deal with 5 minutes before I was getting to my appointment. I'm off the phone. I'm resetting my brain. I'm looking at my notes from, that I made as I was booking the appointment on the phone, just because I would used to jot down notes when I was booking appointments, just if they were to say any little thing that could give me something to kind of remember and have a quick conversation with them about, or laugh about, or whatever. Yep. So I'd look at that piece of paper that always sat in the passenger side of my car. I'd reset my brain and I'd refocus on, hey, now it's time to focus on this family for the next 45 minutes, and that seemed to help me in that situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Ty actually kind of said the same thing. He said, right before you get to your appointment, whether it's podcasts, whatever you're doing in the car, turn it off.
Yep.
Just for the 5 minutes before you go in, just look at their name and just put it in your head saying, yep, you are going to do whatever you can for it. And then after I'd called him a few times, we were actually able to get or speak on the phone. And that was before my last sale last night was at 8:30. I think it was my very last appointment. Wasn't going to quit on it. I always know that you got to be there for that person, because something might happen, if you reschedule or anything like that.
Right.
Got there, sure enough, simplified it just like you're saying. Tyler told me, and he was like, just be there for that individual. And that was the 2,200.
There you go. Yep. It's weird how it works out that way, dude. Take the focus off of you. It ain't about you. I got it. It's a business, and I got it. We have the ability to make a lot of money and help a lot of people and all that stuff. But it is not about you when you're inside a home. It has to be about them and their family. So hopefully that helps. Let's get into the new agent stuff. I know you had a couple little questions about getting new agents up and started.
Yeah. And it goes back to that. Obviously I want to lead from the front, but new agents, I'm trying to put it into perspective for them. Even when I started, and it took me a while to start. And I always use Evan as the best example. Evan hit Hall of Fame his first year. He's going to hit Hall of Fame this year. He's probably going to be he's knocking on $1 million a month right now, issue paid. He started with a half an appointment his first day. Mm-hmm. So when I have new individuals coming on and they feel a little defeated with 6 appointments, 4 appointments, I'm like, that's incredible. This is your first day. You've never done any of this. That's incredible. Trying to keep trying to give them a bit of confidence, and then getting in the home, I want them to be calling me. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm going to be, I would think that I would be able to help them out, or at least direct them in a right direction to where they can, help out the family that's in front of them. I just feel like I'm letting them down, or I don't know how I can kind of make them call me more, I guess.
Okay. So some of your new agents aren't calling you as much as you feel like they probably should. And then also they're getting defeated, when they're not booking 20 or 30 appointments right away on a dial day, whatever the case might be. Okay. So number one, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. Okay. You do need to verbalize to new agents. New agents need to know that we're here for them. Call me twice, when you're inside a home. If you have questions, call the agent hotline, whatever, right? You do need to verbalize that to them and let them know how often you did that with Evan, because you did it all the time. I know you called Evan and Ty all the time, right? And here's the deal. The way I always do it too is I let new agents know, I'm like, look, you don't have to do any of this stuff. All I'm doing is I'm letting you know what the successful people with us do. All the successful people with us, Alex, they all watch and listen to trainings constantly. They all are in constant communication with other people that kind of know the business and understand the business better than they do. That's two things that every last successful person in our business does, at least, and I've been in the business 11 years. So I instead of me saying to a new agent, yeah, hey, call me when you're inside the home if you need anything, or call me after your appointments. Instead of me saying that, and now I'm telling them what to do, I say, look, you can, I'm here to help. Okay. Here's what I've seen, the path of success that I'm seeing. I know you want to have success. That's what you say. This is, the roadmap to success that I've seen. You can choose to do it or not. And then at that point, Alex, it's on them, and unfortunately, a lot of people have misconceptions on the fact that they're going to start out right out of the gate writing 10 grand a week and all this sort of stuff. That it does happen, but not all the time, and more often the path to success in our business looks something like what it did for you, or what it did for Ty, or what it did for Evan. Ty was around for a year before he ever really started rocking and rolling. Okay. I mean, now that was on him. He didn't really work during that year. It took you a while because you were overanalyzed some stuff. You weren't really working consistently like you are now. Evan's deal was different. Evan was working early on, but heck, his first 3 weeks, he booked like 30 to 40 appointments, and he would write like $800 worth of business. Like, people would never show up. I mean, He was working, but Lord, most people would have quit during those 3 weeks because they give up on themselves. Okay. And that's something you can't control. Okay. All you can control is sharing what we do with a lot of different people and more people. Right. And then you have a lot to offer new agents. You have a lot to offer experienced agents, right? You have a lot to offer, and you got to know that. And as long as you have plenty of people up and running in your group, you won't ever worry about the people that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. You'll be focused on the people that are reaching out, are saying, hey man, and are reaching out with a positive attitude. They're saying, hey man, I know it had, just like you're doing right now. Hey, I didn't have the success I wanted to have. I know it's got to be something with me. Like, they don't come at you like the leads or the this or the that with excuses, right? Now you're only focused on the people that are doing the right things and communicating in a positive manner. And I think that's big. Now with new agents, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's just sometimes it is tough when I just know how my life has changed. Mm-hmm. And honestly, take money out of the perspective of it. We get to do a great thing for people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just all around fulfilled in life, and just being able to show someone else that life is not just about money. Yeah, it's great. It's fun that we get to, do it, make our own schedules, make good money. But the big factor is we get to help people out. Being an honest individual with them, not trying to be greedy, tell them that they need more than they don't, nothing like that, meeting them right where they are. I mean, it's very fulfilling. And I just want I want to give those people the opportunity to get to that point. I mean, it's full fulfillment right now, Brent.
Yep.
I couldn't be happier where I'm at in life. And a year ago, I was not even close to this.
Right. You were a mess, as was
Everything.
as were most people. I mean, I was a disaster too, you know, and one thing that I would say also that you got to talk to new agents about early on is, look, you know, early on, it's going to be massively important that they work each and every lead to the bone, to the core, right? The people that don't answer the phones on dial days, like how many of them are they door knocking, right? How many door knocks? If they're only got 6 appointments booked for a 2-day span, okay, cool. That gives you plenty of time to knock on doors and get through all these leads that didn't answer. And also early on, it's massively important for a new agent to, hey, how many people in your circle, you know, your friends, your family, people you see at church, you know, whatever, how many people have you talked to about what you're doing, and ask them if they have life insurance? How many appointments have you, even if it's just policy reviews, right? Because those sales are very easy sales from a standpoint of the new agent is comfortable going through the process, fiddling and fumbling around with the apps and the quoting tools and all that stuff,
right?
Because they're in front of somebody they know. They're more comfortable calling, you know, you from inside the home. But also, even more importantly than that, I mean, it's additional cash flow. You make 1 sale a week your first 2 months, right? Off of, say, a warm market sale, somebody that you know or somebody in your circle. That's 8 extra sales in a 2-month period of time. You know the math on that. That's roughly an extra $8,000 that agent's going to see go into their account. I mean, so you have to ask them, and you have to be upfront with them about what it takes early on. It's a hustle early on. Like, are you just showing up to dial day and oh, you know, I couldn't get anybody on the phone and kind of throwing in the towel and being, no, it's like all these leads are people that need help with insurance. Go get them, go find it, go search it out. How much are you actually really truly hustling to get after this thing? So you have to talk to them about that type of stuff too. You know, that, because you know as well as I do, even I'll just take the warm market sale, right? Let's say a new agent makes a warm market sale, and now the next day they see money deposited in their account from that sale. Their belief level goes through the roof in what we do, because now they know it is real. It works, right? And or they go knock on somebody's door and they make a sale that way. And it's like, again, their belief level goes through the roof. It's like, oh, wow, what these people talk about, it really is true. It really does happen, you know? But that's on them to do the work. All you can do is talk to them about those different things. Here's what most of the successful people with us do. You know, I mean, it is what it is. They're on run days, they're working their tails off, knocking on doors, hearing no's, hearing yeses, driving around, getting no-showed, being in great homes, being in not so great. All the successful people do the same things. You know, so it makes me laugh sometimes, dude, when new agents are like, you know, they try and tell me stuff from inside a home, or, oh my God, I was in this terrible home. You know, there was trash everywhere in the yard and all that. And I always stop them. I'm like, you realize I sold insurance for almost 10 years. Like I've been there. So it's like, and I sold plenty of insurance in plenty of those places. So does all that make sense?
Oh yeah. I mean, walking into the homes that don't even have carpet on the floors or anything like that, weirdly enough, do not judge a book by its cover. Those are some pretty darn big APs. They might just live like that, and that might not be the life you want to live, but they've got a lot more money than you think. Do not judge anything.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember there was who was I? It was Tyler. It was a few months ago. I mean, went into a trailer, no carpet, you know, very limited furniture, reeked of smoke. And sure enough, I was like, man, I even called him. I was like, dude, should I go in here? And he was like, what are you talking about? They need help. Just go in there. Came out, it was like 3,200.
Yep.
They had plenty of money. They just don't, for their living.
They
it
don't
wasn't a
use it.
necessity to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they don't. They're fine. So, and he was like, "Do you see what you did there?" He was like, "You judged. If you wouldn't have walked in there, you would have. You have no idea what your mindset would have been like. We don't even have to go that route."
Yep. So, does all that make sense? You got to talk to these new
Yeah.
agents about that stuff, dude. Talk to them about how much you used to call Evan and Tyler, and you still do. It feels weird. I will say this, and then we'll wrap it up. You also have to understand that from a new agent's perspective, like think back when you were new. It's such a different culture that we have here where you can reach out for help and where people do genuinely want to help you. A lot of people come to us from a corporate background or, a dog eat dog world where they didn't reach out for help because it made them look like they were weak, right? And they were worried about being replaced or something, right? So it's a different concept that most new agents need to learn, and they need to learn that, hey, drop your ego. It's okay. Everybody's been there, and we've all had struggles. We've all had great times. We've all learned a lot over the experiences, but that it's going to be okay. And it's just that difference of culture. It feels weird sometimes to new agents to reach out. They feel like, oh, well, I don't want to do that because I'm bothering you. And what I always say to people when I get that from a new agent is I say, all right, well, you let me make the decision when I'm too busy to answer the phone. When I recruit people, when I hire people, when I say I'm going to work with people, I give up the right to be mediocre. That's my decision. I'm here to help you. As long as you're willing to help yourself, I'm here to help you. So you call me. If I'm busy, trust me, I won't answer the phone, but I will call you back within 24 hours. So I try and take that away from new agents too, but because I understand that goes through their head. They're like, well, I don't want to be a burden. At least that's what they say. But deep down, a lot of times it's because, ego won't allow us to say, hey, I need help. Can you help me? Can you guide me? Right. And then all we can do is lay out the blueprint. It's up to them to follow it. We know what works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I have quite a few notes here and it goes back to pretty much the business and the system. It's just simplifying everything.
Yep. Simplified, dude.
Yeah, that's
simplified and care for people. Much.
Yeah.
Find the people on the insurance side of things. Find the people that want to take care of their family and genuinely care about their family. On the agent side of things, find the ones and put effort and work into the ones that genuinely want to do what they say they want to do and put in the work and effort into having the success. It's that simple.
Yep.
Nothing else. You can't make people buy insurance. You can't make agents do, put in the activity that is necessary. You can't do any of that stuff, right? Find the ones that want to and help them out like none other. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right, my man. Well, listen, we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate you, agreeing to have this one-on-one call where others can learn from it. And I appreciate what you do for the team. Okay, bud?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on this call. Thank you. This is going to help out tremendously. Just especially with my self-growth and then the growth of people that I can help out inside the home and out.
All right, dude. Let's get you and your agency a logo. Okay, bud?
Yep. I appreciate it, Brent. You have a great day, though.
We'll talk to you soon.